July the 20th, reptiles. Slow worms are still pregnant. Their embryos have their head and body rolled in a circle and their tail in a spiral. By the end of the month, they may be 3 centimeters in length, with their scales already starting to show. Common lizards are now giving birth to between 5 and 8 live young, which are brought into the world over a period of several days. They are usually born black, but quickly turn bronze and occasionally develop gold speckling on their sides. From the moment they are born, they instinctively hunt and catch prey. Adders are still pregnant this month, but grass snakes are laying eggs. When the female grass snake has her eggs laid, she coils herself around them and hisses at any visitors. She would even attempt to strike, although she has no poisonous fangs. Young grass snakes are a mere 1.5 centimeters long when they hatch, and being so vulnerable are rarely seen. July is one of the best times to see adders. The females seem to have a compulsion to bask in the sun more this month. Normally, in other months, you tend to see a female with some attendant males, but this month you tend to encounter far fewer males, although their slough skins are seen occasionally. Basking adders are met with great fear by most Londoners. It does happen to be the only wild creature in the capital which is capable of killing a resident, although the truth is less dramatic. They seem incapable of killing a fully grown healthy person, although they have been known to kill a child. Snake bites are rare, and over 60% of them are dry. That is, they contain no venom. The best advice for avoiding a bite is probably to tread heavily on the ground where you think they may be found. This is usually enough to send them on their way. Otherwise, just carefully walk around one that has been seen, giving it a wide berth. Unsurprisingly, there is a rich folklore associated with such a dangerous animal. They were thought to be deaf, prone to swallowing their young, capable of killing a bird by spitting at it, and fond of dancing. The latter is a ring of truth for anyone who's seen them courting. They were also thought to particularly dislike being struck by an ash twig. Consequently, these twigs were carried on country walks in case adders were encountered. Alternatively, if you could persuade a spider to run across an adder's back, the adder would immediately kill itself. If bitten, the cures were legion. Adder liver oil was a favourite among Surrey shepherds. Elsewhere, deep-fried adder fat, warm pigeon flesh, Venice treacle, or a bag containing the heads of an adder, toad, and newt were all thought to be equally invaluable. Other concoctions for the same purpose contain such exotics as bay salt, stamp rue, pickled herring, and deer suet. However, it is still worth taking care around the southern perimeter of London, especially on any sandy or chalky heaths, which is where these snakes choose to live. Amphibians. Toad tadpoles are at last starting to clamber onto land. Frog tadpoles are already there and still metamorphosing. The whole process of metamorphosis from tadpole to adult may take as long as 2.5 months. Toad tadpoles are blacker than their parents and spend more of their time underneath stones. A shower of rain can bring them all out simultaneously, giving rise to the so-called showers of toads. Once the sunshine resumes, they quickly all hide away. The edible frog tadpole is occasionally subject to gigantism. One caught at Ham in 1947 grew to 12 centimeters in length, while still remaining a tadpole. Many other edible frog tadpoles fail to metamorphose into frogs completely. Young newts are now spending their time both in and out of water, palmate newts tending to be more aquatic than smooth ones. When on land, smooth newts can be found easily enough under stones, often still with their parents. When young, these two newts can be difficult to separate. Smooth newts tend to have a yellow or orange belly, whereas in palmate newts it is pink or brown. Great crested newts are still laying eggs, perhaps 2 or 3 a day, often just after a shower of rain. Towards the end of the month, the adults will leave their breeding ponds to spend more time on land. Fish. The main spawning period for freshwater fish is now coming to an end, although tench and common bream may still be laying eggs. Many recently hatched fry are tending to congregate in deeper water, whereas others move around in shoals. Both are attempting to avoid predators. Adult chub are occasionally seen rising to the surface to feed on emerging insects. On hot, still days, you occasionally see a stream of bubbles breaking the water surface with no other associated movement. In places such as Beverley Brook, Beverley Brook, this is all you are likely to see of the elusive tench. It is likely they are feeding vertically on the bottom sediment, taking in mouthfuls and sifting any edible invertebrates, whilst releasing bubbles of methane from the muddy ooze. They tend to prefer sluggish waters and can tolerate little oxygen, even surviving in ponds that are drying up by estivating in the mud. They used to be called doctor's fish as their slime was used to cure toothache. If they ever are seen, look out for their green and gold colour and their gleaming crimson eye. Insect emergencies. On warm, calm summer evenings at dawn or occasionally after rain, there can be quite a spectacle at the surface of ponds, lakes and rivers. It is quite common to see small insects almost dancing over the water surface. These will be mainly mayfly, caddis and chironomid flies, some of which unzip themselves at the surface meniscus and then fly off as adults. Other larvae climb up emergent vegetation before their back splits, their wings swell up, and they complete their metamorphosis into an adult. Other than these emergent insects, there is much more available food. On the surface of water. Anything that falls in and struggles will attract fish and spawn pond skaters. If it happens to be thousands of flying ants, the whole surface of the water may be disturbed with fish feeding on them. The quieter stretches of rivers such as the River Darrant and River Crane are good places to look for these emergencies. Mayflies you may see include the small dark olive, Betis scambus, a minnow mayfly, Centrotillum luteolum, and the most common mayfly you are likely to see when pond dipping, the pond olive, Chlorobdipterum. This last species can vary a lot in colour, from olive to brown, and then darker even more with age. A small mayfly, the angler's curse, Canis macrura, is even known to alight on angler's clothing and turn from a dun into an olive in just a few seconds. Caddisflies, or sedges as anglers call them, swarm at this time of year. So many can emerge that they can cover nearby bright windows in what looks like a seething mass of moths. These swarms are generally over water or around trees nearby and can include large impressive caddisflies such as Potomophylax latipennis. Other water bodies in July can turn bright green due to algal blooms or get covered in filamentous algae, blanketweed, duckweed or other aggressive alien flowering plants. Typical blooms in London reservoirs include countless diatoms such as Asterianella and Cenodesmus, filamentous algae such as Odigonium, Spirogyra and Oscillatoria are responsible for the blanketweed that can quickly choke ponds. The latter species is so called because it is a filamentous algae that can and does oscillate. Duckweeds, Lemna species, are a universal nuisance covering London's ponds. There are in fact 6 different ones. Great duckweed, Lemna polyrhiza, 10 mm, is the largest, then common duckweed, 4 mm, which is the most common. Least duckweed, Lemna minuta, has leaves only 1 to 2.5 millimeters long, and rootless duckweed, Wolfia ariza, 0.5 to 2 millimeters, is even smaller. Ivy-leaved duckweed, Lemna trisulca, is quite different. Its leaves are darker, translucent, and it has more pointed leaves than the others, and is usually found just below the surface of the water. Even more curious than the duckweeds, which are our tiniest flowering plants, are the floating fern, Azola filiculoides, and the floating liverwort, Riciocarpus natans, which are both occasionally found on London ponds. The latter species can be found in Epping Forest and Walthamstow marshes, boast 4 different duckweeds, including the fat duckweed, Lemna gibba, 3 to 5 millimeters. One last aggressive alien flowering plant which is starting to choke parts of the River Colne is floating pennywort, Hydrocotyl ranunculoides, as it can grow from just a discarded fragment and then continue to grow up to 22 centimeters in length per day. It could present quite a problem for the future.